Hey guys, welcome to Comfy Cozy Up. So today I'm doing my January wrap up. Yes, we officially know in February. Yeah, but I'm kind of happy because January felt like a long ass month. But yeah, so I read 6 books. They were all different. I got taste of what things that I want to get into this year, and what I would say is I started the year off with a good book. So the first one was Get Alive, Chloe Brown, and I love this book, guys. It was just that chill, feel good kind of romance. It's not your typical erotic, the typical romance you expect. It's that inspirational book because this book has to do with a character who has a chronic illness. And this illness caused her to kind of feel trapped and not doing anything or not feeling like she could do anything. And she wanted to reclaim her life. She wanted to get back out there and do all these things that she was missing out of, all the things that she wanted to do. And one of the first things is to live alone, to have her own place. And she did that. And while she's in this apartment complex, she interacted with a super. And they weren't really liking each other. They were very much had these stereotypical things that they thought each other was, and once they, break the ice a little, and then she decided to ask him to help her get some of these things off her list accomplished. You see how they connected, and it made me smile. It was just a good book in terms of that. And if you were going into this expecting to be some, this over the top romance, it's not. It's just chill, feel good, and sometimes you want that in a romance, and this book gave me that. The next book I picked up was another romance, and it's by Penelope Ward and Vikilin. Now, those two, when they write together, it's a hit or miss for me in terms of the story. And this one of the stories called Dirty Letters. And initially, I was interested in this because it's a pen pal situation. And when I was younger, I had a pen pal. We didn't really correspond that much. A couple of letters, and that was the end of that. I think my pen pal was in Canada, and I was living in Jamaica at the time. So when I read this, I was like, oh, like that fantasy in your mind that, oh, reality, that would never happen to me. That's how you felt when you read this. And it had to do with a young girl who was a school project to have this pen pal, which is mine was also a school project, and they interacted with each other for more than the projects for years. They continued until a certain age where something tragic happened, and there she stopped writing and never responded to any of his letter. Years down the road, she come across one of his letter, and it just sparks back this connection with the person. But she's also suffering from anxiety that was brought on by the tragic incident that happened while she stopped writing. And here comes this guy now who is now a famous musician. He doesn't go by his real name, but she doesn't know that. So imagine you having anxiety of, fear of being out in the public with a lot of people around you, and he's a famous musician. So you can see where the complication comes in. I really like this, but at the same time, I feel like it didn't give me the extra that I needed in the story. It was just more a sad situation. I think a lot of times I was more sad reading this than anything. So it was an okay read for me. Wasn't one of my favorite from these group, but it did give me that, back down memory lane situation, and I kind of like that for it. So the next book I want to talk about is a classic, and it's called Passion by Neela Larson. And yeah, I think I say pronounce her name. And this one surprised me because it is dealing with a heavy subject. It's called Passion, so you automatically know what it's going to be about. This book was published back in 1929 during the Harlem Renaissance era. So it's one of the earlier books during that time period. And, so it has that, what was going on, so you get a little imagery in your mind of what was actually happening, especially when they went to certain clubs and stuff like that. But we have two young women, and they knew each other from they were kids. And as they grew and things happened, one went off to live a life as a white woman. She married a white man who did not know anything about her heritage. And as far as anyone can see, if they look at her, she's a white woman, except for she's actually mixed. So as this is going on, she's, interacting and living this life. She come across a woman that she knew as a child, and it sparked her wanting to get back into that life a little, you know, the side of her that she misses, that she cannot really say it out loud to the world to know. But this other woman had a little bit issue with it, and there was a lot of complication. There's a lot of psychological issue in the story, and there's a twist that happened in the story that really threw me off, where I'm like, wow, this really happened in this short book. So I thought it was well done. It's definitely not like the as far as the storyline was, I thought was interesting, but overall it is a taste of like an earlier kind of writing style, like earlier kind of storytelling. So it's not gonna be, if you compare it to certain other authors now, or even authors that came along 50 years from that, would have done a much better job with this storyline. But it does, you can appreciate the fact that how it was written, the time it was written, and how she was able to create this storyline that was totally different from what you expected from a story that's called Passing, you know. So yeah. So the next book I picked up, oh my goodness, I just had to, because you know my obsession continues. Butterfly. So if you've read Ethics, you have to read this. I did a review on this, but this is one of those books that I feel like it will keep you hanging still, but you just want to know. And I can't really talk much about it unless you have seen well, not seen, sorry, read the Ethics series, because this is a spin-off, and this is a continuation in terms of one of the characters in the Ethics series. But what I would say about this is it was interesting, and you're still gonna want to continue, because she didn't give you everything you need to know about a certain character. You're gonna want to know more. So this one is definitely going to be me picking up the next book that comes out in June. But yeah, but if you are an Ethic fan, you're going to want to read this, okay? Yeah. Now, the next book I want to talk about is a book from an author that I've read all her books she's released since 2012, and that is Colleen Hoover. And I read Regretting You. Now, I am a huge fan, but this was not my favorite from her, because I had problems with certain characters. I just did. So you have a woman, and she's married, she's close to her sister, they have another friend. So it was like a forced situation where her sister dated this guy, she's dating this other guy, and they were all like best friends. Needless to say, they're older, tragedy happened, and secrets were revealed. And this woman now has to deal with that tragedy on top of the secret that was revealed. And then her badass daughter is retaliating, and she's doing stupidness, and she's just out there, and you can't even grieve properly but without dealing with this daughter, which is what made me frustrated the whole time I'm freaking reading this book. Another thing about it is it has this second chance aspect to it, but it was done in a way where I felt it was creepy. It was just, yeah, it was weird. It was weird to me. It was like, okay, death happened, so I get my second chance kind of vibes. And it was just, no. It gave me that uncomfortable, like, moments where I'm just like, no. So I had an issue with this, so it was more like a 3-star to me. Unfortunately, it's not one of my favorite Colleen Hoovers. No, like, I know she can be over the top. I mean, I've read other books from her that the storyline was so far-fetched, but I was very much into it and I loved it. This one was a similar crazy bunkers kind of situation, but I just had issues with some of the things that was happening. So yeah, that book. Now, the last book I read, Own Son by D.E. Eliot. And what I can say is, the man done snatched my heart. I don't think I've read a book that was so sad, because this book gave me a vibes in the beginning of James Baldwin, If Beale Street Could Talk. That's what it gave me, because it has that love, that young love tragedy. And but it just did not continue like that. It was just, to me, it was worse because that book broke my heart, but this would like shatter me. I was just like, how did he decide to come up with this storyline? Is just amazing. It's not a, it's definitely not a feel good book. It's definitely not a book that is gonna make, it's just gonna break your heart. And that's how the story took me. And I definitely wanted to do a full-on review of this, but it's, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to wrap my mind around this. But what I was saying, this story is about a young couple, and you will learn about both of their family. They all, you know, both come from broken family. You have the son in this was the guy. His, you know, father was just very notorious, and he was very much a gangster, pretty much. And he did all these things, terrible things, heartbreaking things. And, you know, his son now have to bear the name, that last name, and what that last name means, and how it other people, you know, respond to that last name. And then you have a girl who is now a product of infidelity, and she's in a household where she doesn't feel completely loved. And, you know, they somehow, things happen and they come together, and they both come with their baggages and things that they have to, but they love each other, and love wasn't enough. Love was just not enough. And that's one of the things about this story. The love still wasn't enough to save them, to have them not experience the kind of pain that they had as a child, to be an adult. It was just so sad. It was just, it was like that book where you want to pick up a book afterwards because you just hope you don't go into a reading slump, because it really does break your heart. And in the ending, there was like this epilogue at the end, and I was reading it, and it kind of just like gave me this a different take on it even more, and I appreciate that part of the story. But this book was so, yeah, this book really that was not what I expected at all. It was just a really heartbreaking book. And so yeah, I'm here for the indie authors who take chances with stories, because he really took a big chance with this and it worked. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. And yeah, I am going to continue. I hope you guys been checking out my February Black History TBR, so you can see some of the books I'm going to be reading. And I hope to do a lot more reviews of single books, not just the wrap up. So yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching and have a good day. Bye.